really want note takers in this? No, I don't think so. Cool. We do have a few note takers in. Good afternoon, people. We're just going to wait for everyone to turn up before we start introducing ourselves and cracking on, I guess. Everyone's here to see AI in action. And just for everyone's purposes, if you want to ask questions, raise your hands. We can unmute your mics at the point to let you speak. We want this to be as interactive as possible to make the most out of today for you guys. Okay, I can see more people coming in. We'll give it another minute or two before we start the process. We've got quite a few of the attendees already in. All right. We'll kick off in about a minute, guys. Sorry. Also, just so you know, the Q&A is also open. So if anyone needs to ask questions, etc., put them in the Q&A. That if you don't want to speak out loud, etc., at the end. The format of this event is 20 minutes or so of Angela talking to you about Copilot. And then we'll go into about 10 minutes of live Q&A where you can have your mics unmuted and discussion starting. Excellent. I think let's kick off. So for everyone who doesn't already know me or has seen me on LinkedIn, my name's Kan. I'm the founder and CTO of Avensys Tech. We are a Microsoft 365 solutions partner for the modern work. We work closely with recruitment companies to help them implement Microsoft solutions and make the most out of every penny they spend on that stack. Copilot is an additional line item to your Microsoft licensing, but we feel that it adds a lot of value, particularly to recruiters. We have a number of recruitment agencies within our clients who have already adopted Copilot and are seeing the benefits of it. Alongside me today is Angela. Angela works with Giacom. She is a Microsoft 365 Copilot specialist who will be taking us through this introduction into Copilot. The purpose of today's meeting is to go over what Copilot is, how it's used, what it costs, and some implementation considerations. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand it over to the lovely Angela, and she can take over from here.
Thanks so much, Kan. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining. As Kan mentioned, we're going to be giving you basically an intro into Microsoft 365 Copilot, where it's going with organizations and where it's integrated. And then there's other webinars to come in the coming weeks, which we hope you can join as well. That's going to give you more of a deeper dive into the application use. So let's get straight into it, as this is quite a short, speedy webinar. So I'm going to start off with where technology is going overall. So it only took 2 months to reach 100 million users for ChatGPT. This webinar is still about Copilot, but this is just to show you generative AI overall and where technology is going. So all these different icons will show you how quickly technology is evolving. Just to put it into perspective, mobile phones took 16 years to reach 100 million users. The internet took 7 years. TikTok is just behind 9 months, and then now ChatGPT 2 months. So it's taking less and less time to adopt. We don't want organizations like yourselves to be left behind and you feel like your competitors have adopted AI and they're a lot more efficient with their productivity gains, and you feel like you're lagging behind. And just to put into perspective, last year alone, there was 300 updates to Copilot, and Copilot has only been established for about 18 months for small to medium-sized businesses. So it's advancing quite rapidly. So we want people to join more at its infancy rather than, or adopt it more at its infancy rather than later down the line when you feel like you've got a lot more to train up on in order to actually make the most out of Copilot. So yeah, hopefully this is going to put it into perspective that AI is not going away. It is advancing, and we want people to start adopting it within their organizations safely as well. I do want to touch on the Work Trend Index. So please have a look at this online. You can have a look at the full report. It's basically a survey that Microsoft runs in order for us to really understand like your take on AI, so just real life scenarios. And what we found is, so they surveyed 31,000 people across 31 countries, and the new survey found that people are adopting Copilot, and it's helping them, it's assisting them with their day-to-day, whether it's drafting emails, etc. And that would be on a phase 1 approach. Phase 2 would be starting to adopt agents within your organization. I will touch on agents as I go along, and these agents will be, you'll be delegating tasks in order for you to focus more on your priority work. So for example, if you have a new client that you're onboarding and you need to update your master spreadsheet, that task would be for that new client to be added to the spreadsheet. So that's like a task requirement. And then phase 3 would be implementing agents in order for it to do actual activity automatically in the background whilst you're doing something else. So you instruct it and you almost just leave it alone whilst it's doing its work, so it works autonomously. And that's a phase 3 approach. So hopefully we'll get you to phase 3, but it starts off with just having your AI assistants that's going to help you with your productivity gains. Hopefully, I'm not alone when I say this. Employees are interrupted every 2 minutes. I've put myself on Do Not Disturb right now because I know I'm pinged all the time on Teams chats. I've got constant emails coming through, and then I have follow-ups as well. And then that's aside from me actually, doing things like this, like presenting or creating new content. And I've got a lot more other things to do than just obviously answering questions, etc. So what Copilot is going to do is give that time back to you in order for you to focus on your priorities, whether it's conducting interviews, whether it's drafting contracts, etc., and get rid of those admin tasks initially. What Copilot also will do is speed up the process for upskilling. So if you are getting new juniors start, they're going to upskill and think more strategically a lot more quickly, having AI implemented within the organization than not having it at all, because it's giving them more time back to give them that space to think more creatively and think more strategically. So how will you adapt? It's not going anywhere, as I mentioned. Think about if you had today's knowledge now before the internet boomed, what would you do? Same thing with AI. It's not going away. What do you want to do about it? Do you feel like you're ready to adopt AI? And hopefully this is going to give you a better understanding. Before I get to Microsoft 365 Copilot, I do want you to think about, where do you see improvements in your recruitment organization, whether it's to improve the quality of your work, maybe getting rid of that human error on emails or drafting contracts, finance, or would it be to automate processes, automate those workflows, or would it be to retain actual employees, give them a better employee experience? It could be a little bit of everything that I've mentioned. And once you think about where you see improvements in the business, it's going to make a lot more sense as to, well, how is that going to fit in? How is Copilot going to help with these issues, as opposed to the other way around, saying, okay, Copilot is a new shiny tool, and how is it going to help with the recruitment? So, food for thought, but let's get straight into Copilot now. So, Microsoft 365 Copilot, I would say this is suitable for any information worker. Anybody that uses a laptop, that uses a PC, would benefit from Microsoft 365 Copilot. It is your AI assistant that is integrated within your Microsoft applications that you use on a daily basis. So when you're drafting emails on Outlook, when you're conducting Teams meetings, when you're drafting job descriptions on Word documents and data analysis on Excel, Copilot is integrated within those applications and more. Even if you needed to conduct maybe a survey, for example, through Microsoft Forms, Copilot will be able to assist within Forms as well. So there are a lot of applications that Copilot integrates with. You no longer need to go over the web in order to get that assistance because it's right by your side. Let me just break it down as to how it actually works so you have a better understanding. So if you just focus on the top left-hand side, we open up an application. When you open up an application, let's say your Microsoft Word, you will have a ribbon of features like to change the format, bullet points, colors, etc. You also have your Copilot button within that application. You click onto it and you ask Copilot a question. Let's say, for example, draft me a job description for mechanical engineering. Okay, so that prompt is then sent to the Microsoft Graph. And the Microsoft Graph is unique to everyone in the organization. It's basically anything that you have access to, Copilot has access to. And when I say access, this is within your SharePoint, your OneDrive, your Teams messages, your emails. So Copilot will be able to access that information. So if you were looking to roll it out to the organization, it respects your permission boundaries. So it doesn't mean now that you have Copilot, you can then access financial data when you never had access to it before. It doesn't go beyond your permission boundaries. Okay. Having said that, it does plug into third-party applications as well, not just Microsoft applications. So it is down to these third parties to create like a connector, but there are quite a few third-party applications that does plug in with Copilot now. Okay, so we're still on the Microsoft Graph. So once Copilot collects the information that it needs, so I said to draft me a job description around mechanical engineering, it might look at past job descriptions, it might look at a previous Teams meeting that I've had, like the most recent Teams meeting I've had with a client based on the prompt I've asked it. And then it's sent to the large language model. The large language model, which is on the right-hand side, basically it goes beyond a keyword search. So if you type something on a search engine, that's keyword search. Whereas the large language model sits on something called reasoning. So if you're asking a question, it's going to try and figure out what is your intention behind it in order to give you a better response. So what I was talking about is it's going to look at your Teams meetings if it's been transcribed. Have you had any recent emails from a certain client about mechanical engineering to get that criteria, etc. And it will collate that information together in order to give you that rich response that you need, and it's deposited back into your application that you're using. So it will create it for you, but it will also citate where it's got its information from. So your prompts need to be very specific so it doesn't deviate and look at other areas that you don't want it to, but it can access anything that you have access to. Right, I didn't mention anything that you have access to. Copilot has access to it as well. So we need to make sure that your permissions are set. We need to make sure that not everybody has access to financial data, to people's salaries, etc. Hopefully that's all been teed up and there's no risks with implementing Copilot, but this is pre-work anyway, before you're given the license. So yeah, looking at your SharePoint permissions and looking at if there's been any overexposures, etc., is something that would be considered before to make sure that you are Copilot ready. Okay, so I also want to highlight what's the difference between the free version and the paid version. So I'm talking about the paid version, which is on the right-hand side. The free version is on the left-hand side. Okay, so the free version, which is called Copilot Chat, does have enterprise protection. So the license I'm talking about, anything that you input into Copilot it's not trained on your prompts, it's not trained on your data, it's corporately protected. Whereas if you use something like ChatGPT, for example, ChatGPT is using your prompts and your data to better its model, and it's being saved into public data. So really, Microsoft 365 Copilot is created for business purposes in order to protect your data as well. And the free version does protect your data. However, it doesn't integrate within those applications that I was telling you about, which is why it's blank in the middle where under personal assistance. So you will only be able to communicate with Copilot chat, but it can only access things over the web, and it can't access things through that graph I was telling you about. You can attach documents if you want to, and it would read through it, and it would obviously give you the response that you're looking for, but you need to bring it to the chat interface. Whereas Microsoft 365 Copilot is integrated as well within those applications, and it can access data within your Microsoft tenant. We did mention like pricing as well. So obviously the free version is free, but you only get that chat interface and only over the web data. Whereas the paid version is an annual commitment. It's roughly around £24-25 a month if you break it up into monthly costs, which actually works out to be 80p a day for a personal assistant, an AI personal assistant. So hopefully you have an idea of what's the difference between Copilot, because you may have seen Copilot over the web and you're like, oh, I have Copilot. We're talking about the paid version today. As I said, it's integrated within applications, third-party ones. So anything that you can see on screen can integrate within Copilot. Kan, you've got your hand up?
Yes, sorry, Angela. I just wanted to point out as well. I mean, I've been in a few networking meetings with recruiters out there, and there seems to be some confusion between Copilot that's in Windows that comes with your Microsoft Business, not Microsoft Business, but Microsoft Personal editions that some people may be using the home and school version or whatever it is. There is a Copilot button that is specific to Windows or to that edition of Microsoft 365, but that's not what we're talking about here today. We're talking about Microsoft 365 Copilot. That's the business edition. Just so that that's cleared up. They have different capabilities. There's different information. There's actually quite a number of different Microsoft Copilots out there in the world. There's Security Copilot. There's all sorts. You name it. And I'm sure Microsoft have a lineup of more to come on over the months. So back to you, Angela.
Yeah, thanks, Kan. So as you can see, everything that you see on screen are third-party applications that does integrate with Copilot, and it is expanding. So if you can't see it on screen, it doesn't mean it doesn't integrate with Copilot. It might be in the pipeline, or it might have just been released. So it's just worth having a look on their website, and there's usually like a forum that says we integrate with Copilot now. So yeah, this is not the be-all and end-all. It is constantly expanding. I'm going to go back to agents, because at the very beginning, I mentioned phase 2 and phase 3 is adopting agents within your organization. Agents is included within Microsoft 365 Copilot. And although Copilot is integrated within your Outlook, your Teams, your Excel, etc., agents is a way for you to create your own Copilot. Okay. And the reason why you'd want to do that is for it to be a little bit more role specific. So if we're talking about recruitment, you might want to create an agent that's maybe named CV Analyzer, and you plug in all of your open to work CVs. So when you have a new job description for opening, you could speak to CV Analyzer agent, and it is only going through the CVs that you've plugged in to see which one's the most relevant candidate, or the most suitable candidate, sorry, that we can actually shortlist for this new job description. So yeah, agents, and you can create as many agents as you want, and you can share them within the organization. Just one person needs to create it, and then you can share it within the organization. Whoever has Copilot license can access it as well and start to utilize it. So you can create one for contract reviewing, you can create one for creating interview questions, and then also sieving through CVs. So yeah, that's agents. Copilot works within all different types of departments. So don't feel like it's only suitable for one area. As I said, anybody that's basically that has a laptop or a PC would be able to benefit from it. So I decided to go a little bit further and create one just around recruitment firms, and some examples of how Copilot will be able to support firms in a specific industry like recruitment. Can.
Sorry, I
That's
forgot I was
okay.
on mute. Just one other thing, you mentioned laptops and PCs. It does work across Mac, Android, and iOS as well. So I use it, for example, on the go when it's drafting emails, etc. I just need to put some bullet points down. It drafts nice emails for me. It takes into context all of the stuff that's in the chain of the email as well. So it's device. I mean, we have users who use Copilot on Mac devices. We have users who use it on PCs, laptops, cloud PCs, whatever it is. Yeah. So it works on all the different platforms.
Yes. And a common question that I do get is there a difference between Windows and Mac, the capabilities of Copilot? There isn't. It works both seamlessly across both of them. Okay, so these are just some of the examples that you could think about on how Copilot will be able to assist with your day-to-day roles. I did want to highlight an actual real-life case study of somebody that did join a webinar at the end of last year, and they did adopt Copilot, and they were actually a relatively smaller firm, I think maybe 6 or 7 staff members, and they adopted it throughout for everybody. And by April, they had a savings of £80,000 based on less billable hours for legal costs for conducting contracts, so reviewing contracts, etc. And then their day to day would be sifting through CVs, trying to find the most relevant emails rather than sending blind emails to potential clients, prospect clients, etc. So this is just an example of what you could do if you implemented Copilot. And it doesn't really matter on the size of the organization as well. You will see your return on investment.
And this was one of our existing clients, by the way, who took it up in December. They spoke at our last Copilot event about 6 weeks ago now.
And lastly, what I want to cover is our upcoming webinars within the next couple of weeks. So this is really to see Copilot in action within these certain applications. So as you can see, it's going to be coming up very shortly. So we would like to see you, hopefully on all of them, but obviously register to the ones that you feel like is most relevant. Can. Back to you.
So I'm just going to make a few notes. So the Teams and Outlook one is where a lot of recruiters find the most value in Copilot, where it takes copious notes, helps you with responding and summarizing your emails. I mean, as an IT person myself, I sit through a number of client meetings on a daily basis, and I use the facilitator agent that's a new part of Microsoft 365 Copilot that takes your agenda, takes the notes that it hears that you're speaking, and kind of puts it into a readable, digestible, easily distributable format. So again, you will see live demos of these at these events outlined here. Of course, if you have questions about these, you can always reach out to me in between or raise it at the event. Also, one point to note, on the 25th of June, we also have another event called Maximizing Your ROI on Microsoft 365. Which is also relevant because if you're not already using the other apps that Angela mentioned, things like forms and planner and lists, etc., that all kind of integrate with Copilot, then you should definitely attend the event on the 25th. We will be publishing that event today, so keep an eye out for that. I'm going to open up the floor to questions now. If any of you have questions regarding, the implementation, the costs, maybe. Angela, do you want to run through the costs actually? Because I don't think we covered the costs per user, per month, and per year at the moment.
Yeah, so it's an annual upfront or annual monthly commitment. So it will be an annual commitment. It's an add-on license. You need to be on the right base license to be eligible to purchase Copilot. They have expanded that eligibility, so most likely you are eligible to purchase Copilot. The costs of it, as I mentioned, is about 20. If I break it up to monthly costs, it's about 24.67 a month. As a whole, it's around, I believe, 260-ish, depending on which commitment term you use, whether it's annual or monthly.
Yeah, there's a slight discount.
Monthly.
There's a slight discount on annual.
Off. Yes, so you can get 50.
Sorry,
yes, there is a discount. So there's a 5%. The annual upfront is 5% lower than the annual monthly commitment, and there is also a further promotion that is running up until the end of June. So coming quite quickly, you'll have to purchase at least 10 licenses in order to get 15% off your Copilot licensing.
Yes. So does anyone have any questions regarding, the implementation of this, or kind of what to expect, or what sort of licenses you need to go about doing it, and anything else really? I will try and unmute everyone if they want, as they raise their hands up.
Or you can drop your questions in the chat.
We got a few hands up. Allow mic. Okay, Matt Richards. Is it Matt Richards that I've unmuted? Yeah. I have allowed mic on all three of you. So if you want to go by Matt Richards first, you have to unmute yourself on your side, and you can speak.
Thanks. Yeah, hi Angela, hi Kan. Thanks for all your help on this. It's really useful. I was just curious how it would kind of potentially sit alongside or work with LinkedIn, or can you kind of pick whether it does stuff for LinkedIn or not?
So
at the moment,
yeah, go ahead, Kan.
No, at the moment, I don't think it integrates with LinkedIn, but you can search LinkedIn profiles and stuff through the web functionality of Copilot. Angela, do you have any further comments on that?
So exactly what Kan said. So you can look through profiles. So say for what I mentioned about sending blind emails to potential clients, you can pin a certain profile on LinkedIn and maybe their website, and you can say what's the most useful emails that business is using. So then you can start to use the most relevant ones, and you can start to send emails to them if that's how you work.
Okay. I suppose also I was thinking about a hypothetical situation where a recruitment consultant may or may not be using some software that sits on top of LinkedIn, and obviously as LinkedIn is a Microsoft company, where do the guardrails finish? Is the fact that someone is or isn't using some software integration that works with LinkedIn as a Microsoft company that sometimes LinkedIn frown upon, would the Copilot be, essentially snitching and grasping you up to Microsoft and LinkedIn going, oh, hold on, this hypothetical recruitment consultant is using a hypothetical software that sits on top of LinkedIn potentially. You might want to have a look at that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, Copilot won't be able to do that because, as I mentioned, it can only access things within your graph, so it won't be able to access. It won't be able to access things through LinkedIn, and then it's leaked back to Microsoft, just like your emails. Like only you have eyes on it. Microsoft doesn't have eyes on your emails.
So as opposed to say, if you signed up for ChatGPT, it's training the large language model, it's training the whole thing. The guardrails are essentially, it's almost like you're hosting it locally on your computer or on your Microsoft 365 ID. So the only data set it's accessing is basically the stuff that is within your own ecosystem, however large or small. I mean, in my case, I'm a solo recruiter, so my data set is relatively small and benign compared to a larger organization that are going to have multiple licenses and people.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, exactly.
That's great. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. I think it's Nikki next.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Yeah, so I just had a quick question on the agent side of things, because it's something I've been looking into a little bit recently, trying to work out how to build these AI agents. And for someone who's not very technical like myself, it is quite difficult to get your head around. I mean, what's the difficulty level would you say of building these agents?
It's a no-code approach, so you don't need to be a technical specialist in order to create an agent. It starts off with just having a conversation with Copilot, and Copilot will create it for you based on your instructions. Or you could go a little bit deeper and more advanced by connecting, and that might need a little bit more assistance through obviously an IT provider, but I'm not technical, and I've created many agents just by using the agent builder, which is just having a conversation with Copilot and it creates me an agent. But if you want, you can join our webinar on the 8th of July, and we will show you how to build one and how it looks in action.
Perfect. I will do that. I'll jump on that one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for your question.
Excellent. David Parker.
Hello, Kan. Hello, Angela. Thanks for the insightful session. Yeah, my question was also related to the agents like Nikki's. Just really wanted to understand what was possible, really. I'm thinking about real-world applications and where I can save time in some of the manual toil. Could you, in theory, train an agent to format all of your CVs in a, branded format, the minute the CV was to arrive in your inbox, for example?
Yes, so I'm in the middle of creating an agent like that. So hopefully you'll be able to see that on the 8th of July, where you have your own branded template. And obviously you have so many different CVs that comes through in different formats, and how you can transform that into your template using Copilot.
Brilliant. Yeah, that'd be very useful, because like Nikki, I am a solo recruiter. So anywhere that we can find time gains like that is extremely useful. At the moment, I check a CV generally to see that there's no obvious spelling or grammatical errors, and I'll send out as is. But if I had something like that, I would certainly utilize it, because it would help save time, and also sending out better presented CVs.
Yeah, it's a really good question, and a very common question as well. So yeah, I guess that will be implemented within that webinar that you'll be joining, or hopefully you'll be joining on the 8th.
I look forward to it.
So just on that note, I mean, internally at Avensys, we use something I call the blog style transformer, which is an agent that I've built. And what it does is we have a subscription to a company that helps us with our marketing, and they produce these blogs. They produce loads of blogs, but what we want to do is we want to take those blogs and not just copy and paste them onto LinkedIn, but add a twist to it, make it sound more Avensys-like, make it sound more Kan-like. So I've trained the agent to take the Word document, convert it into the way that I speak, input information based on our brand values and our brand guidelines, and obviously the applications. I've also trained it to say, how do these apps then become more recruiter specific? So it can look at keywords and phrases within the document and then feed that into the output, basically. And the output could be a Word document that you download or just displayed on the screen. We're also using, an agent for Microsoft licensing prices, because as you know, there's hundreds and hundreds of different types of Microsoft licenses, and the guys get a bit confused when, hey, how much does this cost? So I've created an agent to use within the internal team. So whenever someone needs a license, they can simply just say, give me this license. How much does it cost on a monthly, annual basis, etc. And it brings together the pricing for us from a data set that we have internally. So again, the possibilities are endless, again, combined with things like Power Automate and all of the rest of the stack that's within your Microsoft 365 of what you can do. So again, the world's your oyster, mate.
Exciting times.
Excellent. Any other questions before we wrap up for the day? Because I think, we're here. We've got a few more minutes left before we've got to wrap up. I think Nikki's still got his hand up. I think, is that for another question, or was that from the previous one?
Yeah, no, sorry, I just didn't put it down. My bad.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I mean, if no one else has any questions, then we will wrap up the meeting. Once you're finished with the meeting, you will get a what's it called? A survey link to tell us how well we did, or anything else that you want to cover. And obviously, please sign up to the other events.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
And
Cheers.
don't forget, if you want to learn about how you can get it enrolled in your environment, give me a shout. That's part of the sales pitch, I guess. Thank you. Bye now. Have a good day. Going to end the event now.